You're listening to The Josh Liddick Show, a sports talk podcast. And here's your host, Josh Liddick. And how's it going, everyone? My name is Josh Liddick. Welcome to the Josh Liddick Show. It's another great episode coming forth, and it's a beautiful Sunday afternoon. After the snow that we just got last weekend, the weather is absolutely incredible. Very, it's in the 40s. And it's looking very good and very warm and very nice out. And I was out earlier, and it was just really cool. It was a really good temperature, and it makes you look forward to what is going to happen in the spring with flowers blooming and baseball right around the corner. It's my favorite time of the year. But first things first, it's still winter. It's still going to be cold. And, one thing's for sure, the Super Bowl is 1 week away. It's a week from today, and it is coming fast pretty quick, may I say. And I'm really looking forward in this episode to talking mostly about the Super Bowl, the storylines for the game between the Panthers and the Broncos, and a lot of other things, going on there between those two. It's also media week this week, so there's a lot of storylines in there. It's kind of funny because usually during the media week, the past 2 years has been all about Marshawn Lynch and whether or not he was going to talk to the press, being on the Seahawks, and because he's a man of very little words, he didn't say much in both press conferences in back-to-back years. This year, though, the Seahawks not in the Super Bowl for the first time in 2 years. I would have liked that to happen, but it did not happen this year. So usually there's always some kind of drama or controversy to talk about during Super Bowl week. And this year we might see that. But I don't think it's going to be from a single player. I think it could be centered around the media in general, talking to players about things that are going on in the game. And the one big thing about the Super Bowl, the one huge storyline revolving around this game, besides Cam Newton being as big of a player that he is and as big of a star that he is, for Carolina in his first Super Bowl, has to be Peyton Manning, and how this could possibly be his last game as a NFL player. Going into the Super Bowl, I mean, this guy, he has a long history. He's probably one of the greatest regular season quarterbacks of all time. Probably one of the greatest regular season NFL players of all time. And he's looking to win his second Super Bowl. He has only one Super Bowl, and that was with the Colts. And he's looking to match his brother Eli. And that's a huge thing for him. And I think that a lot of people want him to become, the NFL quarterback. A lot of people think that his legacy is based on the fact that he only has one Super Bowl win. Forget the 5 MVP awards and the passing touchdown record that he holds, and yards even. The guy is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and not only just on the field but off the field. The way that he treats his teammates, the way that he conducts himself off field, and the way that he goes about his life, and he's a Christian man, and he's a family man, and Peyton Manning is when you think of a quarterback in the NFL, one of the two words that come to mind are going to be Peyton Manning, or Manning in general. Like him and Eli and his father Archie, The Mannings are probably one of the greatest, most storied historical families in football history. And, Peyton Manning, if this is his last game, which I really do believe that it will be, the chances of him winning the Super Bowl are slim, especially against the Carolina Panthers defense and the way that he played all season long. But still, I mean, to go out like this in his last Super Bowl possibly is pretty huge. It's really huge. And Peyton Manning, that's the big storyline, I think, for the entire Super Bowl. There's always one that stands out or sticks out. Last year it was whether or not Seattle could repeat. The whole Marshawn Lynch thing, whether or not, his off-field persona was going to affect his in-game persona, which it did, I think, with the whole, even though it was a play call thing where they didn't run him on the last play, which could have put the nail in the coffin for the Seahawks, and so they could have defeated the Patriots last year, but it just didn't happen. This year, Peyton Manning, going into his possibly last game in an NFL uniform for the Denver Broncos, putting him in this situation where he needs to lead his team to glory. And I think that this is a circumstance that is even harder than he's ever experienced before. He's played against the Saints in the Super Bowl in the past. He played in which he lost, which was a huge loss for him. He went against the Bears when he won that Super Bowl, but then 2 years ago he got absolutely obliterated against the Seahawks, where we thought that that game, after that game, we would hear an announcement saying that Peyton Manning would be done. But he went out and he was resilient, and now Peyton Manning has a chance to play in his final Super Bowl and defeat the Carolina Panthers and go out on top. But it's going to be hard. It's definitely going to be hard. But it's rough because the whole scandal right now going on, and I wouldn't even call it a scandal yet, because I really don't believe that he would have done something like this. I talked about his off-field persona, and the way that he conducts himself is absolutely unrivaled and unprecedented. And he is one of the most intelligent quarterbacks of all time. And I know he was injured with the Colts. I understand that. And he had a really bad neck surgery, which really has put him in a place where I really do believe that because of his past injuries, it is affecting his game now. And the Al Jazeera report about a month ago accusing Peyton Manning of getting HGH supplements, through his wife, who signed the package. That's a huge statement, and I really, how could you even trust a source like this? I mean, in the past, you had the Mitchell report for baseball and all the other reports that accuse players of using steroids that actually sometimes some of them are actually correct. Yeah, they did use steroids, but this is just absolutely unbelievable. I cannot believe that Peyton Manning would be under this kind of pressure. And it even makes me wonder, it's a week before probably the biggest game, most important game of Peyton Manning's career, and this comes out. And granted, it was a month ago when this came out, but now the NFL is going to investigate this? Come on. Leave the guy alone. Seriously. Leave him alone. Roger Goodell, come on, man. You have a lot going for you. You have a lot of things to think about with the whole concussion thing going on and all these dumb fines you give out to players for celebrating on the field. There's other things to talk about here, and it's not Peyton Manning. Don't take your anger out that you had on Tom Brady and put it on Peyton Manning for some dumb HGH scandal controversy. I do not believe, I wholeheartedly do not believe that Peyton Manning used HGH or was even if he was sent the supplements. I wholly doubt. I fully believe that he did not use human growth hormones at all. At all. Unbelievable. What an accusation for a guy of his caliber, of his greatness, of his reputation. Where Peyton Manning, he's a Hall of Famer. And when I say Hall of Famer, I mean the whole 9 yards, everything, fame, glory. He deserves it all. Because he is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And he does not deserve to have this accusation handed on him, pinned down on him, a week before the greatest game of his career. It sickens me. And it's making him mad. And I know it's not going to affect his game, but, deep down, he's thinking about this. He doesn't want this to happen to him. Because he knows that this is not true. And I really think that you have to get your sources right. Is this Al Jazeera thing, is this real? I mean, it accused other superstars, other baseball players like Ryan Howard of using steroids, of HGH. But how could you believe one source? It's one source. And you're investigating this. It's unbelievable. There's better things to do. There's more, what about Greg Hardy? Yeah, investigated that. Did you do anything about it? He still played. And there was video evidence. There was proof that he assaulted his ex-girlfriend. And you don't do anything for it. The suspension gets overturned. But Peyton Manning? Seriously? Go after someone else. Go after someone else your own size. Don't go after Peyton Manning. We'll be right back and we'll talk about a preview for the Super Bowl coming up. Panthers, Broncos. We'll get off of this Peyton Manning crap that's going on because it's ridiculous. But we'll talk more about the game right after this break. Do you enjoy what you're listening to on the Josh Liddick Show? Well, like it on Facebook, follow on Twitter, and subscribe on YouTube for more postings, updates, and future podcasts. And as always, keep on listening. Hey guys, we're back here for the Josh Liddick Show. The second half of the show, the first half we talked a lot about Peyton Manning and the whole scandal going on there with the HGH and how the NFL is accusing him, and this Al Jazeera report is accusing him of using HGH or getting shipments of it, and just talked about how crazy that is, and how the media will most likely be targeting a lot of questions at Manning during Media Week coming up before the Super Bowl about that whole accusation scandal going on, and how Manning will be probably asked a lot of those questions, and about how Manning will take the answers and use those answers. He probably won't even respond to those accusations. But yeah, we talked about that in the first half of the show. So I promised, and here we go. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl, the big picture, the big one, the whole reason about football, everything that every team plays for is the Super Bowl, the big game coming up next Sunday next Sunday evening on CBS, as the NFC champion Carolina Panthers take on the AFC champion Denver Broncos at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, California, home of the San Francisco 49ers. It's going to be a huge game against two great teams in the Panthers and the Broncos. The Broncos had a pretty decent season coming into the playoffs as a number 1 seed. And their key signature win was over the New England Patriots in the AFC title game against Tom Brady. What a great game that was. And then for the Broncos, they had a rough, they had a good season to start, except for Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning, he got injured, but he had thrown 17 interceptions, led the league for a while, did not play for a lot of weeks. Brock Osweiler came into the game as quarterback and took over and actually played really well up until week 17, where he got hurt or he got knocked out of the game briefly, and Manning went in and led the charge and led them to the playoffs, and where they were successful against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then eventually defeating the New England Patriots to get into the Super Bowl once again. Peyton Manning as the quarterback. Now their team is loaded. I mean, it's their offense is not as flashy as it used to be. They don't put up a lot of points. Peyton Manning does not have the arm strength that he used to have. He's a little more awkward when he throws because of the way that the injuries in the past have affected him. He's getting older. He still has some targets, like Demaryius Thomas is out there. Owen Daniels is out there. Some other guys to target the throws at, but he isn't as consistent as he would have been when against the Seattle Seahawks a couple of years ago, when that offense broke a lot of records. He broke a lot of records, and it really looked like the team, like they were going to be the team to beat the Seattle Seahawks, but it just didn't happen that year. Now this year, it's a whole different story. Their team is still struggling. I mean, they're not as flashy, but their defense is absolutely incredible. Number 1 ranked defense in the National Football League, who really just went after Tom Brady last week and really put the pressure on him and sacked him a lot and gave him the hurt and hurried him and made him force throws that he didn't mean to throw, and all that jazz that really just put the damper on the New England Patriots and really sealed the deal for the Broncos to win that game. Now they go against a really tough Carolina Panthers team, finished 15-1 in the NFC. Really could have went all the way and went undefeated in the regular season, but they dropped a late season game and with their one loss on the season. But I think that Carolina is the most complete team. While they lack wide receiver talent, Cam Newton as quarterback is really unprecedented and unbelievable. The way that he directs a team, the way that he leads a team and goes all the way and really just proves that, he makes players around him so much better because of who he is. Cam Newton is a superstar in the National Football League. He has proved time and time again that he is the real deal, that he is the quarterback that will lead a franchise to glory, to Super Bowl glory. If the Carolina Panthers had another quarterback besides Cam Newton, I reckon that they would not even be in this position, that they probably wouldn't even make the playoffs because Cam Newton, on paper, this wide receiver core is really nothing to gawk at. They're nothing big. They're nothing special. But because of Cam Newton and the way he throws the ball to these players, and the way that he talks to them in the huddle, and the way that he leads the team in celebration and doing the dab and doing all these crazy touchdown celebrations, giving the ball to little kids, and he makes the team around him more energetic and more confident, and he makes leaders. He turns ordinary football players into superstars just because of who he is, and that is something that you just cannot compete with. Now, the way that the Broncos defense put the pressure on Brady and the Patriots last week, or 2 weeks ago, or now it was last week, was unbelievable. Just because, when you compare Brady and Newton, I mean, you compare those two guys, you really can't compare them only under the whole leadership thing. Brady has the Super Bowl rings, he has the MVPs, he has the touchdown records, he has all these things. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But you also look at Tom Brady and you look at how he makes his teams better, and as a player and a friend and a colleague. And you look at how Newton does the same exact thing. He does the same exact thing. But the one difference between Newton and Brady is, besides all the accolades, is Newton is a scrambling quarterback. He's a mobile quarterback. He's fast. He knows how to cut out on the outside. He knows how to break tackles. He knows how to juke around defenders and create separation between him and his coverage. He knows how to go forth and score on the run. Brady can't do that. That's why Brady he's a pocket quarterback, but the defensive line and the linebackers of the Denver Broncos knew that they could get to Brady. So they did. They rushed at him. They broke through that offensive line. Now, the offensive line for the Panthers is good. It's stacked because of Cam Newton. And I think that it'll be hard for Denver to get after Newton because of who he is as a scrambling quarterback. He knows how to juke around those defenders, but still, those defenders on the Denver Broncos team, they're hard to beat. They're hard to unmatch. Von Miller, he's fast. DeMarcus Ware, he's good. He's strong. And there's just Aqib Talib, he's a great cornerback. I mean, sure they had a few injuries in the last game, but really when you look at it, I mean, who are you going to stop? The one target that Cam Newton is going to utilize or try to utilize in the Super Bowl because he relies on him is Greg Olsen. But Ted Ginn, he's had a career, but not that great, and really like going into the season, he was not on anybody's receiver map, and now because of Cam Newton, he automatically is. So I think that Denver's defense is going to do all they can to take down Newton. He's the nucleus of this entire Carolina Panthers team, this entire offense. He is the key part of this offense. And in order to take down the Carolina Panthers team as a whole, they're going to need to go after Cam Newton. If you can eliminate Cam Newton from the equation, and Peyton Manning and his offense steps up, makes plays, and gets the ball in the end zone and puts points on the scoreboard for the Broncos will win this game. However, we didn't cover one major factor in this entire game, and that would be the Carolina Panthers defense. So the defense for the Carolina Panthers is really unreal. They are just so good. They have two major players, two huge all-pro players that really just knock the lights out and are unbelievable. They're fierce. They're talented. Luke Kuechly, he's a former defensive player of the year. Josh Norman, just the way that he has handled players this season, single-handedly just taken down players. He went from, being an okay cornerback to being an all-pro in one season just because of the team that he's on. And, I mean, even though Cam Newton's on offense, he's still a leader of that team. Josh Norman has played such great defensive back, has been such a great position player for that defense, has really showed his abilities. And Josh Norman, he's going to be a key factor for stopping Denver's passing attack. And they have a running attack too, Anderson and Hillman. But when you look at it, it's really not as big as what's going on here. And Kuechly is great. Kuechly, had the pick 6 against Arizona. And, when you look at that game, Carolina won that game, 49-15? They put up 49 points on possibly the most complete team in the National Football League, the best team. I mean, the Arizona Cardinals were going to be the team that I thought were going to win this entire thing. I thought if any team was going to beat Carolina, it was going to be Arizona. But really, they looked like two separate teams. They looked like a team that didn't even belong in the playoffs, period. Carson Palmer threw 4 picks. He's a great quarterback. He led a great offense this season. But then, what happened? What happened with that? Carolina's defense is unbelievable. If they did that to Carson Palmer, can you just imagine what they're going to do to Peyton Manning and his aging arm and his not so productive anymore offense? They're a good team, but good doesn't win Super Bowls. Great wins Super Bowls. And when you look at a great team, the complete team, you see the Carolina Panthers. Cam Newton is going to absolutely take care of this game for the Carolina Panthers. And for that reason, the Carolina Panthers will win the Super Bowl this year. They will take home the Lombardi Trophy for the first time in franchise history. They had 2 chances before. They had I believe, they had one. They lost to the Patriots in the Super Bowl. I know that for a fact. They almost made it in the 90s when they were an expansion team. They also made it to the Super Bowl again. They lost in the conference championship game. But aside from all that, the Panthers will win the Super Bowl this year. It's going to happen because Cam Newton and the defense, Kuechly and Norman, and of course Thomas Davis, who's out. He's not out. He's playing, but he got injured with the broken arm, and it'll be interesting to see how Davis plays. Is he going to play the whole game? Is he going? What if he breaks his arm? What if he continues to break it more? Well, the pain is going to be awful for him. How will a wrapped arm affect his way of tackling? We saw how Jason Pierre-Paul and his amputated finger, we saw how that affected his tackling abilities. And this time you have an entire broken arm. So that'll be interesting to see with Thomas Davis. But overall, when you look at all sides of the game, all aspects of the game, you're going to see that Ron Rivera will lead Cam Newton, who will lead his Panthers to glory and take home the Lombardi Trophy and win the Super Bowl this year. Which will also mean this will be Peyton Manning's last game, I do believe. I don't think he'll come back next year. I don't think the Broncos are going to be willing to pay him. Now, if he does come back next year, he won't be a Bronco, he'll be on a different team. But I really don't think that a team will invest any money in Peyton Manning just because of the inconsistent season he's had. He's just here because he wants to win another Super Bowl and to go out on top. And I cannot see him going to any other team after this year. I really do believe that win or lose, this will be Peyton Manning's last game, and I really think that the Panthers are going to win this game and take home their first Super Bowl, which is going to be absolutely crazy and so great, and I'm really looking forward to that game next week. So there you go. I'm going to pick in the Panthers to win it all. I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a close game, but I really think at the end of the day, the defense for Carolina is going to step up and take it. One other thing that I want to talk about is that it's going to be really short. That I have another radio show. This is a podcast, but I have a radio show on at Kutztown on Kutztown University Radio KUR called Under the Lights, and it's with myself as a host and my good friend Paul Petrucci, and it's going to be it's every Monday night from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. You can go on there's an app called TuneIn that you can download. It's a free app. Don't get the paid one. It's called TuneIn. You go on it and you search KUR, and then you can listen to the live stream on there. Or this is actually the better one. I've done this before. You go online to www.kutztown.edu/KUR. It gets to the Kutztown University Radio page. Then you go on the left side. There's a tab and it says "Listen to KUR," and you click on that. And then there's 2 streams. One's a faster stream. Depends on your broadband connection. So it all depends on your internet and how fast it is and where you are. Where there's 2 different options there. They both work. You just click on the play button and then you can listen to the show. And then we'll do call-ins as well. And you can like Under the Lights with Josh Liddick and Paul Petrucci on Facebook. We have a Twitter now. It's called it's at UTL on KUR. That's the username. So you can follow us on Twitter as well. So yeah, that'll be really cool, and we really appreciate you guys listening to that as well, because we're putting a lot of heart and soul into that show. It's a 2-hour show, and tomorrow night's is our second show, and it's all about the Super Bowl. So we're doing a complete Super Bowl preview, which is going to be a blast and a lot of fun. We're really looking forward to that. We're gonna do some sound bites and some call-ins. So you call in. I'll put the number on the Under the Lights page on Facebook, and you can call in. And the one question we're gonna ask you is, you guys can put whatever question you want and talk about whatever you want. It could be Super Bowl related. It doesn't have to be, I guess, but we want to keep it mostly Super Bowl. And the question we're going to ask you is what your favorite all-time Super Bowl moment is, and then then you'll say why or whatever, and then we'll talk about it, and we'll see what we think about that Super Bowl moment, and so it'll be a lot of fun. Thanks guys for listening. Definitely tune into that and like and comment and all that stuff about Under the Lights, and thanks for listening to the Josh Liddick Show. You can like this on Facebook, you can follow on Twitter, and you can also go on YouTube where I'll post this podcast, and you'll find it, and the other podcasts from past weeks, and future ones will also be on there as well. And so thanks for listening, and I hope that you guys all stay safe and have a great week, and have a great time watching the Super Bowl, and we'll be back in a couple more, probably 2 weeks from now. We'll talk about the Super Bowl ending, all that stuff, and then getting right into baseball pretty soon, as well as NASCAR in there too. So, definitely keep on listening, and have a great one. Thanks, guys, so much. Have a great night. If you are enjoying the Josh Liddick Show, and you'd like to hear more sports opinions from two perspectives instead of one, tune in to Under the Lights with Josh Liddick and Paul Petrucci every Monday night from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. on the radio voice of Kutztown University, KUR.